Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Plant Kingdom Theory Part 4. In today's lecture, we are going to cover up the section 3.4 and 3.5, that is gymnosperm and angiosperm. Okay? Disclaimer. So today's lecture learning objective to understand and learn the key characteristic of the gymnosperm and angiosperm. So we are going to see what are the different important characteristics of the gymnosperm and angiosperm. These are the two very, very important type of plants that comes up under the plant kingdom. To identify the reproductive structures and the life cycle of gymnosperm. Gymnosperm life cycle is very much different from the other type of plants of the plant kingdom, and also their reproductive structures are very, very different. So that we are going to see in today's lecture. To understand evolutionary relationship between these plants group and recognize the economic and ecological importance of them, right? So we will see what are the evolutionary relationship, how these gymnosperms plants are related to the previous plant that we have studied, like algae, bryophytes, and pteridophytes, and the advanced one, that is the angiosperm. The angiosperm is the most advanced type of plant. So how they are related to the angiosperm. So that we are going to see in today's lecture. Also, we will focus on the economic and ecological importance of gymnosperm, right? So according to the NCERT, we are going to cover up section 3.4, that is the gymnosperms, and also angiosperm 3.5 section. Then we will summarize today's lecture at the end. So let us start today's session without wasting any time. Introduction of gymnosperms. The gymnosperms are a group of woody, perennial, and seed-producing plants. Okay, this is the, if you ask what is gymnosperm, then gymnosperms are a group of plant that is woody, like they are having the trunk region in a form of wood. And they are perennial plant. They are not annual, like they grow just for a year or a season. Okay, they are perennial. They can grow for many years. So if I talk about any example, like take an example of cycas and the very common type of gymnosperm, right? Cycas and pinus. And also your Christmas tree, Araucaria. So all these are the examples of the gymnosperm. And when you see the wood or the trunk region of these plants, what you see? They are woody in nature, right? And they produces seeds. So this is also one of their characteristics. Gymnos. What is the meaning of this gymnosperm? So we can divide this word into two parts. Gymnos means naked. They are not covered. And what is not covered? Sperma. Sperma means seeds. So it means the seeds are not covered. And if the seeds are not covered, then we can say that the seeds are naked, right? So ovules transforms into seed after the fertilization. This we have read in the case of angiosperm. In the case of gymnosperm also, the ovules are there and after fertilization, they transformed into the seeds. But this ovule is not covered. This is one of the very, very important characteristic, and even it defined the gymnosperm. So you must remember this particular characteristic of the gymnosperm. And this is very, very specific to the gymnosperm, right? So they are the naked seed plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall. They are not covered by ovary wall, right? So they are naked. It remain exposed both before and after fertilization. It doesn't mean that they becomes naked after the fertilization. No, it it is naked before fertilization also. Means it is not covered with any type of walls. It is not covered with any type of walls, right? So we can say that they are naked before as well as after fertilization. It include conifers. Now, what type of plants they include? Conifers mean the cone-shaped trees, cycads, ginkgo, and gnetophytes forming the clade gymnosperm. So all these are the different types of gymnosperms. We will study. We will have one section as a classification of gymnosperm. So we will focus more like different types of gymnosperm at that particular point. But here you can just remember that there are many different types of gymnosperms, right? Now, commonly they are called as conifers, cycads, ginkgo, and gnetophytes. Now, we will talk about the general characteristics of the gymnosperm. So, naked seed means it is not having any wall of the ovary. So, no fruits. Yes, no fruits. Gymnosperm include the medium-sized trees or the tall trees and shrubs. If you see the gymnosperm, so some of the trees are in the form of very tall trees. One of the tallest tree, that is the Sequoia gigantica, comes under the gymnosperms only. Sequoia gigantica. And some of the plants are in the shrubs also. Right? One of the example of the shrub plant is the thuja. Okay, that is a medicinal type of plant, and you must have seen also in the common terms in Hindi we call it morpanki ka paudha, but it is not a type of angiosperm. It is a shrub that is called as thuja plants. Okay, so we are having the shrubs also, we are having the trees also, and also the tall trees, for example sequoia. One of the gymnosperm, the giant redwood tree. So here, this is the common name of the sequoia, giant redwood tree. Okay, giant redwood tree is the common name of sequoia, and it is the tallest tree species. What is the tallest angiosperm species? Eucalyptus. Tallest angiosperm tree is eucalyptus. But if you talk about an whole plant kingdom, tallest tree, then it is sequoia. To talk about the roots, then the roots are generally tap roots. Tap root means there will be one primary root that will be remain as a main root. That is the tap root. As we see in the case of tap root system, in the case of angiosperm can be divided into two categories, dicot and monocot. Now, dicot is having the tap root system and monocot is having the fibrous root system. So, they are like the dicot. They are having the tap root system. Gymnosperm leaves are of various forms, including the needles, including the scales, and even larger, more complex leaves. So here you can see, this is the very, very important feature. Needle leaves. Needle leaves. Why they are having the needle leaves? Because they grow in such an environment that they have to minimize the water transpiration. Minimize the transpiration of water. So what they do? They reduces the leaf lamina part into a form of needle. Not only this, their stomata get depressed in the crevices. Okay, so such type of stomata are called as sunken stomata. We'll have a figure for this. So, like general characteristic we talk about here. On this, the NCERT question number 11, you can give the reference of these points in that question, right? So here you can see the needle leaves in pinus. The leaves are in the form of needles. So various forms of leaves they are having. Various forms leaves they are having. Some are in the form of like you must have seen the cycas plant. Cycas. They are having the compound leaves, but their leaves are not in the form of needle as we see in the case of pinus. But yes, they are having a very thick cuticle covering over it to minimize the transpiration. And the plants that take an adaptation to minimize the transpiration, it means they grow mostly in the xerophytic condition. The condition is xerophytic. Okay. Now we will talk about the types of roots we see in the case of gymnosperm. Very, very important point. Roots in some genera have a fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza. For example, pine. What you see here, that the pinus tree is growing, okay? But their roots cannot grow much far and they cannot take some of the important minerals like phosphorus. Phosphorus is very, very important mineral. Very important mineral. And you all know why phosphorus is important? Because our adenosine triphosphate, ATP, that is the energy currency, they are having phosphorus in it. Not only this, our DNA structure is having a lot of phosphorus in it. So phosphorus is one of the very, very important mineral, right? But the mineral is not confined to the places where the pinus tree are going sometime. And at that time, what happens? Some of the fungi, they grow along with the pinus tree and they form a mat over the surface of the roots of pinus tree. And they form an association. This association is called as mycorrhizal association. Wherever the term comes myco means fungi, okay? Mycorrhiza. Now, what type of association? How they both get benefited? Okay, let us see that. So, pinus is not getting what? Phosphorus. And fungi, you all know they cannot make their own food. They absorbs the dead and decaying matter. They means they digest the dead and decaying matter and they takes the nourishment from there. But sometimes the dead and decaying matter is not always present. So they form this as type of association. The fungal partner get the nutrition from the roots of the pinus tree and fungi provide phosphorus to the roots or some other minerals also. I'm taking just one example here as the phosphorus, right? So the roots of some genera forming the fungal association, that is the mycorrhiza, for example, pinus tree. Mycorrhizal fungal component provide minerals to the pinus and provide food and shelter to the fungal component. So this is a type of give and take relationship, mutual relationship. In some other cycas tree, small specialized root called coralloid roots are associated with the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, Nostoc and Anabaena, for example. Okay, the nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria examples are Nostoc and Anabaena. These cyanobacteria lives inside the coralloid roots. So cycas are having the two types of roots. One is a tap root that go downward and absorb the minerals and water. The another one, that coralloid root is negative geotropism. Negative geotropic means it moves upward. And they, in these coralloid roots, the cyanobacteria is living. Cyanobacteria can fix the nitrogen and provide to the roots. And in return, what they get? Shelter and food. So again, here you see the mutual relationship. The stems are unbranched. Now, this is the roots. If you see the stems, then they are unbranched in the case of cycas, where in the case of pinus and cedrus trees, this is again the two examples, pinus and cedrus. So they are having the branched stems. So again, your exemplar short question 9, you can give the reference of these points in the Ninth question of the exemplar. And you can see here the mycorrhizal root in the case of Pinus. These are the mycorrhizal association in the case of Pinus tree. And here you can see the coralloid roots in the case of Cycas. Okay, the two very, very important association we see in the case of roots of gymnosperm, and this point is very important from the examination. So, let us move. Now, leaves in gymnosperms. The leaves may be simple or compound. You all know what is simple leaf. Okay, there is one lamina, there is one midrib, there is different veins that arises from the midrib. Now, if you talk about the compound leaf, the main lamina get dissected. And there are different veins, okay, and small parts of leaf. They are surrounding the veins, okay, so that forms the compound. Cycas, the pinnate leaves persist for years, okay, they persist for years in the case of Cycas. I told you that the most of these gymnosperms are grown in the xerophytic condition. It doesn't mean that they are the cacti are also gymnosperm. No, the cactus comes under the angiosperms. All the xerophytic plants do not come under the gymnosperm. There are some plants that come from the angiosperm. There are some plants that come from the gymnosperm in the xerophytic condition. Okay, xerophytic is a type of condition. It doesn't mean that all the plants of gymnosperm they grow in the xerophytic condition. Okay, but some of the plants do grow in the xerophytic condition and they adapt according to that. So here you see the leaves, the compound leaves, the leaves that are having the needle-like modification. These are some of the like generalization that prove that they are growing under the xerophytic condition. Okay. The leaves in the gymnosperm are well adapted to withstand the extremes of temperature. Whether it is a low temperature or high temperature, humidity and wind, right? So they are having such a modification that they can withstand in the extremes of temperature, humidity and wind. Conifers, the needle-like leaves reduces the surface area. They reduces the surface area. Why they reduces the surface area? Because they are growing in those environment where the water is less available. Water is not much available. Their thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help to reduce water loss. Yes, this type of modification is just to reduce the water loss by the process of transpiration. Thick cuticle. Cuticle is a type of waxy coating that is present over the surface of the leaves and that minimize the water transpiration. Sunken stomata. The stomata that are depressed in the leaves. Let us see that. So here you can see the figure. Very important. This is the pinus tree. You can see the leaves are needle. And when you cut the needle, very fine section and view under the microscope, you can see such a structure. Triangular shape. Okay. Triangular shaped leaves. This is one of the leaves internal structure. And you can see the stomata where they are present. It is not present at the surface. It is present deep. And that is why it is called as sunken stomata. Right? Why? To minimize the water loss by the process of transpiration. So, very, very important modification. Spores in gymnosperm. Gymnosperm spores are quite different from the other spores. Let us see how. The gymnosperms are heterosporous, means two types of spores. Two types of spores are produced. We have seen the two types of spores in the case of pteridophytes also. Pteridophytes, they, they produces two different types of spores. So here the gymnosperms are also produces the two different types of spores. They are called as microspores and megaspores. So they produces haploid, and both the spores are haploid, right? Microspores, haploid microspores, and haploid megaspores. The two kind of spores are produced within the sporangia and born on the sporophylls. Where they are produced? Where they are produced? Very important. They are produced inside the sporangia. Inside the sporangia, the spores are produced. And where this sporangia is present? It is present on the sporophylls. Again, I'm telling you, phylls. Phylls means leaf-like structure that bears the sporangia, that is called as sporophylls. And inside the sporangia, what is present? Spores. That spores could be microspores or megaspores. Sporophylls are arranged spirally along an axis to form a compact strobili or cones. Now here in the case of gymnosperms, this sporophylls are quite different from the pteridophyte which we have seen. We have seen these sporophylls in the case of pteridophytes also. But here, in the case of gymnosperm, these sporophylls are quite different. They arrange spirally on the axis. Now there is an axis. All the sporophylls, they arrange themselves on the one of the axis and they become very compact. All the sporophylls, they are not loosely arranged. They are compactly arranged on that axis and it forms strobili or cones. Strobili or cones. Cones is a type of harder structure, but strobili, it is a compact structure, but somewhat softer than the as you compared with the cones. We will see the structure. The strobili bearing the microsporophylls and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. So these terms are very, very confusing. So try to focus. The strobili, okay, the strobili means the aggregate of the sporophylls that bear microsporophylls. Means the sporangia is bearing microspores, right? And the microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili. Male strobili. The microspores developed into the male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced and it is confined to only the limited number of cells. So again, gymnosperms are dominantly sporophyte, diploid structure, sporophyte. The tree you see, the cycas tree, the pinus tree, all are sporophyte. And what is the gametophytic generation here? Only the spores. Okay. So that is why this point becomes very important. The microspores develop in the male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced. Highly reduced means only one or two stages as a gametophyte you can, right? They are reduced and confined to only limited number of cells. So here we are having the three different types of gymnosperms: cycas, pinus, and ginkgo. So in the case of cycas, we are having the strobili, okay, male strobili. In the case of pinus, we are having the cones, male cone and female cone. Okay, we will see the detailed structure of the cones and strobili. Formation of pollen grain in the cycas. So first of all, we are talking about the cycas. So let us see how the pollen grains are formed in it. This reduced gametophyte is called as pollen grain. Okay, we talked about that, like the sporophyte is the main plant and the gametophyte is highly reduced, and that forms the gametophyte. Okay, the reduced gametophyte is what? It is represented as a pollen grain. Now this pollen grain is very, very important. The development of the pollen grain takes place within the microsporangia that bears the microspores. and microspores finally get mature and form the pollen grain, right? As we have studied in the case of angiosperm also. The development of pollen grain is taking place inside the microsporangia. The cones bearing the megasporophylls with ovules or the megasporangia are called macrosporangiate or the female strobili. Like we are having the male cones or male strobili. In the case of cycas I am talking, then it is a male strobili, right? Male strobili. Female strobili is also there. Female strobili. What is the structure of the female strobili? It is not very compact as the male one. It is not very compact. The male or the female cones or the strobili may be born on the same tree. In the case of Pinus, the male and female cones or the strobili are found on the same tree. But in the case of cycas, you are having the male tree and you are having the female tree. Male tree will give rise a male strobili and female tree will give rise the female strobili. And in the case of Pinus, but they are forming the cones. And both the cones, male and female cones, both the cones are present on the same tree. This is the difference in the case of cycas and Pinus. Strobili, you all know, the sporophylls that are aggregate on an axis, but they are soft. They can be cut. But the cones are hard. The cones are hard and they are woody-like. They are like wood, right? So this is the structure of a microsporangia. You can see this is the structure of the microsporangia and this is the cross section. This is one of the microsporangium. And you can see there are number of like this, these yellow structure. When yellow structure cut like this, okay, you can see they are attached to this structure in a round oval structure surrounded by a wall. And inside this wall, what is present? Lot of microspores. This is the inner structure of a cycas. Okay, cycas. Microsporangium of cycas. Cycas male cone or male strobili and the megasporophylls female cone are born on the different trees. In Pinus, they are born on the same tree, but in the case of cycas, they are born on the different tree. The male cone is cone-shaped structure formed by the aggregation of the microsporophylls. The sporophylls that bear lot of microspores in the sporangia, they are called as microsporophylls and they form an aggregate. Aggregation means they are very compactly arranged. And they form a cone-shaped structure. Male cone are typically brown and they are erect. In cycads, the female reproductive structure is not true a cone. Cycad means the class that belongs to, the cycas belongs to that class, cycads. So, the female reproductive structure is not a true cone. Instead, it is the form a rosette form. We will see a structure of this. So, here you can see, this is a cycas male cone. All the microsporophylls, you can see, they are aggregated together to form a male cone. This is a cone shape. Structure formed by the aggregation of the microsporophylls. But see, the female cone in the cycas, female cone, this is a rosette form structure. They are not very compactly arranged, right? Female cone are leaf-like and may be covered with a red-yellow flesh. You can see. These are the round structure. These are the ovules. Right? And each megasporophylls bears the multiple ovules in its margin. So this is one. This is the one. And at the end, they are bearing the ovules. Okay? So these are the female cones. Female cones are Just remember, the female cones are not a true cone. Instead, they are forming a rosette structure, and they bearing, each sporophyll bears, or each megasporophyll bears the multiple ovules. Multiple ovules. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cells of the nucellus. How the this ovule is formed? Ovule is formed. So there can be a confusion that cone and rosette structure. Male is forming the cone, but the female is forming a rosette structure. So if you like spread your palm, okay, and number of students, number of students, 4-5 students come and join your like palms together. It form a rosette-like structure. It is form a rosette-like structure. The nucellus is protected by the envelopes, and the composite structure is called as ovule. Okay, the nucellus is having just an envelope, and that structure is called as ovule. Okay, this is about the megaspore mother cell. The ovules are born on the megasporophylls. We have seen just the megasporophyll, the rosette structure. Megasporophylls, where they are born ovules on the megasporophyll, which may be clusters to form the female cones. Now, cones in Pinus, you will see a lot of difference, the cone structure from the Cycas to Pinus. Let us see that. In Pinus, the cones are reproductive structures which is born male and female gametes develop. So in these reproductive structures, in the case of male cone, there will be the male gametes. In the case of female cone, there will be the development of the female gamete. Pinus is a monoecious plant. Monoecious plant means both the male and female cones are present on the same tree. It is not like the cycas, dioecious plant. Male plant is separate, female plant is separate. On the male plant, there will be the development of male cone. On the female plant, there will be the development of the female megasporophylls, right? But here in the case of Pinus, they are monoecious. They are born on the different branches, but they are having the different branches, male branch and a female branch. On the male branch, there on the same tree. See the uniqueness of this tree. On the same tree, there will be a branch that bears the male cones, and there will be another branch that bears the female cones. So male cones are smaller and contain pollen. Male cones, the size is smaller, while the female cones are larger and contain ovules. Ovules. Okay? So we will see here, the structure is very, very important. See the structure. Male cone, they are so small. These are the needle leaves of the Pinus. And you can see the cones are so small in structure. But what about the female cones? They are large and woody. They are large and woody. And these cones are used as a decorative items. People used to color these cones, okay, and keep them in their home as a decorative items, right? So whenever you visit, if you get a time to visit to Uttarakhand, you will see a lot of Pinus tree over there, lot of Pinus tree. And you can see the cones are there, right? And this cones, for people are there who study about the plants, they can tell how many years these cones are of, whether it is a 1-year-old cone or 2-year-old cone or a 3-year-old cone, right? So this is, you can differentiate. You can just by seeing the cone, you can say that this is the male cone and this is the female cone. Female cone is quite larger. It is quite larger, you can see. And male cone, it is quite smaller, right? Male cones, smaller and contain pollen grains, whereas the female cones are larger and they contain ovules in it. Very, very important, ovules. the female structure, the female reproductive structure. Ovules in gymnosperms. Now we will see the structure of ovule. The megaspore mother cell divide meiotically to form the 4 megaspores. This we have studied in the case of sexual reproduction in flowering plant also. That is the first chapter of the class 12th, right? So there what happened? There is a megaspore mother cell. The cell is diploid. The cell is diploid, but get differentiated from the other cells. They get differentiated from the other cell because they have to undergo a reduction division. A reduction division that is called as meiosis. Meiosis, right? And how they get differentiated from other cells? They accumulate a lot of cytoplasm, their nucleus become large, and the size of the cell also increases. So in this way, this megaspore mother cell, which is a diploid structure, get differentiated from the other cell. It undergo meiosis, and how many cells are formed? 4 megaspores are formed. 4 megaspores are formed. One of the megaspore enclosed within the megasporangium develops into the multicellular female gametophyte. Now, wherever the terms comes the gametophyte, it is haploid structure. It is haploid structure. Whether it is a male gametophyte or female gametophyte, just remember it is a haploid structure. So this 4 megaspores, out of this, one get enclosed within the megasporangium and develops into a multicellular female gametophyte. It is not a unicellular structure. It divide and form a multicellular female gametophyte structure. It bears 2 or more archegonia or a female sex organ. This is the sex organ that is present inside this ovule structure. It bears 2 or more archegonia, a female reproductive organ or the sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. In gymnosperm, the male and female gametophyte do not have an independent free living existence, unlike the bryophytes and pteridophytes. We have seen in the case of bryophytes and pteridophytes, right? They are having in the case of pteridophyte, they are having the prothallus structure. Remember? Heart-shaped prothallus structure that bears the antheridium and archegonium at their ventral surface. Such structures you won't see here. In the case of gymnosperm, the male and female gametophyte do not have an independent free living existence, right? So which is the main plant in the case of gymnosperm? It is the sporophyte. And that is why somewhere it was mentioned that the gametophyte structure is reduced to few cells only, right? This is a very important difference from the bryophytes and pteridophytes if you compare, right? So these are some of the very, very important points that give you the answer of your NCERT question number 6. You can refer these these points for that question. So here you can see. This says the what? Megasporophyll structure, the rosette structure. This is one of the sporophyll that forms the rosette structure, which we have seen in the case of cycas, right? And you can see these are the ovules. See this ovule structure. This is the ovule structure. Not covered with the ovary wall. Remember, the ovule structure of the angiosperm, it is covered. It is having the integuments. It is having the nucellus, right? Here, they are having the nucellus, but it is not covered with any ovary wall, right? And what you see, this is the archegonium, the female sex organ. This is the archegonium. And when the pollen grain comes, get attached here, it germinates, and the male gamete reaches here, and the process of fertilization occurs here, right? So this is the ovule of the gymnosperm, which is different from the angiosperm in respect of any absence of any wall-like covering. So the ovule is naked. The ovule is naked. Pollen grain in gymnosperm, very, very important. Pollen grain of the gymnosperm is very different. So let us see how they are different. Antheridia and Archegonia remain within the sporangia, retained on the sporophyte. So we are having the microsporangia, we are having the megasporangia. Antheridia is present on the, okay, as a male reproductive organ, and Archegonia as a female reproductive organ. Pollen grain is released from the microsporangium. From the microsporangium, these pollen grains are released. And when they are released from the pinus tree, you can see yellow colored clouds in the forest of Pinus. You can see it's all the microspores or the pollen grain, they are released. When they are released in the atmosphere, the whole it becomes yellow color cloud. So they are carried in the air current and come in contact with the opening of the ovules borne on the megasporophyle, right? So air current, air is very, very important. Wind is very important for that, right? And they come in contact with the opening of the ovules borne on the megasporophyll structure. The yellow shower, this I was telling you, the yellow shower phenomena in pine refers to the release of large quantities of yellow pollen grain from the male cones. So here you can see the structure, the yellow shower, when the pollen grains are released from the male cone. And in this dust, this is one of the pollen grain you can see. They are having the four-celled structure. The pollen grains released at the four-celled celled structure. Okay, they are having the prothallus. There is a tube cell and the nucleus is there. There is the generative cell and the nucleus, and there is a prothallal cells, right? So they are the four-celled stage. And these are the wing-like structure that helps them to swim in the water. Can swim in the water means they can move from one place to another with the help of this wings-like structure. This is one of the very peculiar things regarding the Pinus, right? Life cycle of gymnosperm, very, very important. This is the life cycle of gymnosperm. We are taking an example of the Pinus, okay? So starting with this mature sporophyte, you can see this is a tree and this is showing one of the branch. So this branch is bearing the larger one, the cone. This is the large cone you can see. That is the female cone. And this is the smaller one. This is the smaller one. That is the male cone. Okay, male cone. And when you cut the cross section, you will having the microsporangia like this. Then you will having the microsporangium. And from the microsporangium, what is released? Microspores or the pollen. Haploid structure. Wherever this blue arrow is there, that represent the haploid structure. So this pollen grain is a haploid structure after the meiosis process. Now coming to the female. This is the cross section of the female cone. This is these sporophylls. These are the sporophylls, and this yellow structure, that is the megasporocyte, okay, or the megasporangium. And this is one of the megasporangium. Okay, this is the one of the megaspore. Inside this, what is there? Megaspore, haploid structure, megaspore. Okay, and inside this there is an archegonium. So this pollen grain reaches there, fertilization takes place, right? Here you can see the fertilization is taking place. After the fertilization, you can see there is a formation of embryo and food reserves are there, then forms the seeds. When these seeds are released, go to the new place, it germinate and give rise a new seedlings, right? And it forms a full mature sporophyte. So the gymnosperm life cycle involves the dominant sporophyte generation with the reduced gametophyte generation. Why it is called a reduced gametophyte generation? Because this gametophyte is not a separate entity. It is not a separate entity. It is formed on the sporophyte plant only. Sporophyte plant only, right? So that is why it is called here as a reduced gametophyte. Gymnosperm reproduces through a cycle of alternation of generation. That is a diploid sporophyte phase and a haploid gametophyte phase. But this gametophyte phase is very, very reduced. The main stage is sporophyte, diploid sporophyte. So there is a diploid sporophyte, then there is a haploid gametophyte, again there is a diploid sporophyte. So this alternation of sporophyte to the gametophyte and coming back to the sporophyte is called as alternation of generation. The life cycle begins with the mature sporophyte, which produces the male and female cone. This we have already discussed, male cone and female cone, right? The male cone contains the microsporangia, which produce the microspores. And what does the female cone bears? Female cones contain ovules. And following fertilization means after fertilization, zygote develops into an embryo and the ovules turns to the seed. But the seed is not covered. The seed is not covered in the as we see in the case of angiosperm. There we are in the case of angiosperm, we are having the covered seed, but here they are uncovered seed or the naked seeds. So these seeds are not covered. Fruits are not formed here. Remember. Now, classification in gymnosperm. The classification of gymnosperm typically involves the recognizing several key groups, and that, okay, we are considering many characteristics, and on those characteristics, we divide whole gymnosperm into three classes. So, what are the three classes? Here you can see. Cycadopsida. Cycadopsida that include the cycads. Cycads like cycas tree. Cycas is an example of this cycads. Coniferopsida, as the name suggests, coni. Coni means the plant that forms the cone-like structure. Cone-like structure. Contain conifers like pinus and firs. Pines and firs are the examples. These are the name of the common tree, pines and firs, which are known for their woody cones and needle-like leaves. Okay, so this is one of the class Coniferopsida. The third class, that is the Gatopsida, okay, encompasses gnetophytes, a group that include genera like Ephedra and Welwitschia. Ephedra and Welwitschia. So these three classes are of the gymnosperms. We can see here Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida and Gnetopsida. It is Gnetopsida. It is Gnetopsida. Okay, so here we are having Cycadoidales. Don't try to go for the orders. Just for remembrance, I have given here the orders names. Okay, there are so many orders. And here we are having the Cycadales. Cycadale, this is the cycas tree. Cycadopsida. Coniferopsida, that forms the cones. So we are having the Coniferales, that bears the pinus. We are having the Ginkgoales, that bears the Ginkgo biloba, very important member of the gymnosperms. Okay, and firs are also, taxales also. Taxus plant is also there, that belongs to the conifer. So all these Coniferopsida, they form the cone-like structure. Okay, they form the cone-like structure. And in the case of Cycadopsida, they either forms the strobili or a rosette-like structure. Rosette-like structure, right? As we have seen in the case of cycas. Now, Gnetopsida, Ephedrales, Gnetales and Welwitschales, these are some of the examples of the Gnetopsida. Okay. General characteristic of angiosperms. So in gymnosperms, the ovules are naked, but in the case of angiosperms, the flowering plant ovules are covered. And ovules are covered with what? It is covered with fruit wall. You always see seed inside the fruit only, right? So they are covered by the fruit wall. Pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures that are called as flowers. So instead of forming the strobili or cone-like structure, in the case of angiosperm, what is forming? Flowers. And these flowers are having the male and female reproductive structures. Inside the male reproductive structure, there is a formation of pollen grain, and inside the female reproductive structure, there is a formation of ovules, right? In angiosperm, the seeds are enclosed in fruits. So this is a very special characteristic of angiosperm. Angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in a wide range of habitats. They are occurring in a wide range of habitats. You are having the aquatic plants, you are having the xerophytic plants. In the case of plains, you can see, okay, everywhere you can see the different angiosperm plants are growing. Angiosperms are of two types. We are having the two types of angiosperm depending upon the cotyledons. Okay, the name they got, the name they got. Otherwise, there are many differences, right? But here we are focusing this two types on the basis of their name. Monocot. Mono means, what is the meaning of mono? One. And cot means cotyledon. So it contains one cotyledon, right? Dicot plants. Di means two and cot means cotyledon. So the plant that contain two cotyledon. But if you see other structure regarding the roots, so dicot will have the taproot system, whereas the monocot will have the fibrous root system. If you see the leaf structure, the dicot will have the reticulate type of venation, whereas the monocot will have the parallel type of venation. If you see the flower in the case of dicot, either it is a tetramerous or pentamerous, means you will have the 4 whorls or 5 whorl structure, whereas in the case of monocot, they are a trimerous structure. 3 whorls are only there. So these are some of the difference, okay? Some of the difference in the case of monocot and dicot. Here you can see this is a dicot plant, and here you can see this is a monocot plant. Some other characteristic of angiosperm, let us see that. They range in the size from the smallest, Wolffia. Wolffia is a smallest angiosperm, flowering plant, and it is aquatic, but it is flowering. So Wolffia is the smallest angiosperm, must remember. And eucalyptus, it is a tallest angiosperm. But if it is asked tallest tree, then it is redwood, Sequoia gigantica. But if it is asked about the tallest angiosperm, then it is eucalyptus tree. They provide us food, fodder, fuel, medicine. So angiosperms are very, very important to us commercially. Dicot exhibit the taproot system and monocot as a fibrous root system. That I have already explained you. Dicot have reticulate type of venation and the monocot have the parallel type of venation. And double fertilization is an important feature of the angiosperm. This double fertilization we do not see in the case of bryophytes, neither in the pteridophytes nor in the gymnosperms. But we see this double fertilization in the case of angiosperm, right? Okay, now we will have a summary of today's lecture. Gymnosperm and angiosperms are the two major group of seed producing plant. Both the plants are produces seeds. Gymnosperm include the conifers, cycads, jingoes that produce the naked seeds. And angiosperms are more diverse and advanced, producing the enclosed seeds. So angiosperm is advanced than the gymnosperms. Gymnosperm appeared earlier in evolutionary history and dominate many temperate forests at the Mesozoic or Jurassic era. Angiosperms emerged later but became the most successful and widespread plant group on the earth. So this is one of the NCERT based question. Question 1. How do the characteristic of the gymnosperm naked seed cones reflect their evolutionary adaptation to the terrestrial environment, particularly those with the harsh condition? Let us see the answer. The characteristic of the gymnosperm represent the significant evolutionary adaptation are as follows. The development of naked seed was crucial innovation that freed these plants from their dependence on water for reproduction. Now here they are not dependent on water for the fertilization or reproduction, as we have seen in the case of bryophytes and pteridophytes, right? Many gymnosperm species also develop thick waxy cuticle on their leaves, needle-like, which helps them to prevent water loss in their dry condition. Presence of sunken stomata in the needle leaves and robust root system that can access deep water sources. Next question. Why gymnosperms are considered as a xerophytic plant? So leaf adaptation, needle-like leaves, reduce the surface area, thick cuticle to prevent the water loss. And vascular system, well-developed xylem tissue with tracheids, efficient water conducting system. They are more efficient in the water conduction as you compared with the pteridophytes. Reproductive adaptation, seeds protect by the woody cones. They are having the woody cones, right? Seeds develop within the minimal water requirement. They do not require much water. So they are adapted to the xerophytic condition. Other xerophytic features, thick bark and the presence of raisins in their wood. Keynotes, gymnosperm reproduce through cones which contain the reproductive structures. Pollination in the gymnosperm is primarily with the wind mediated. Many gymnosperms are woody and evergreen and forming the tree or bushes. And gymnosperms were the dominant during the Mesozoic era and were among the first vascular plant to colonize. This is the first vascular plant that colonized on the land, not the pteridophytes. Ovules are exposed and are not enclosed by any ovary wall. And Ginkgo biloba is a unique gymnosperm with a fan-shaped leaves. Fan-shaped leaves. Ginkgo biloba is also considered as a living fossil. This is the living fossil, means from remote past, there is not any, we do not find any change from very long back. Okay. So this is considered as a living fossil. Here you can see, this is the ginkgo tree. You can see the fan-shaped leaves. Okay. And this is the megasporophyll in the case of cycas. These are the ovules. Ovules are exposed and not enclosed on the ovary wall. So these ovules are not covered by any fruit or the ovary-like structure. Interesting question that you have to solve. What are the differences between the male and female cones? What are the characteristics of Ginkgo biloba? What is the role of wind in the gymnosperm reproduction? And how do gymnosperms compare to the angiosperm? So, thank you very much for today's session, but be with us. I'll come up with your today's DPP in just a minute. So, don't go. So, here comes the first question. Which of the following is a characteristic feature of gymnosperm? Okay. Options are ovules enclosed in an ovary, seeds covered by a fruit, presence of a naked seed, dominant gametophytic generation. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is the presence of naked seed. We have discussed this in a very great detail. The feature of the gymnosperms, presence of a naked seed. Seeds are covered by fruit. No, it is an angiospermic characteristic. Ovules enclosed in an ovary. This is again an angiospermic characteristic. Dominant gametophytic generation. No, the gametophytic generation is highly reduced in the case of gymnosperm. So this is going to be the correct answer. I'll save and move to the next question. Next question. In cycas, the root associated with the N2 nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria are called A. mycorrhiza, B. coralloid roots, C. tap roots, and D. fibrous roots. So in cycas, they are talking about what is that root called? Coralloid root. Yes, coralloid root. Mycorrhizal association is with the pinus tree, not with the cycas, right? Okay. So I'll opt this as a B option, save and move to the next question. An angiosperm differ from the gymnosperm by possessing A. ovule, B. xylem tracheids, C. xylem vessels, and D. seeds. So angiosperm is having something which in the case of xylem, which gymnosperm is not having, right? What is that? Angiosperm differ from gymnosperm by having xylem vessels. Vessels are absent in the case of gymnosperm. They are absent in the case of gymnosperm, right? Only ephedra is there. Ephedra, there is an exception. Ephedra is there, okay, that bears the vessels. Okay, so I'll opt this and move to the next question. Angiosperm have a dominant, the land flora primarily because of their, we have read this in the characteristic of angiosperm. A. property of producing large number of seeds. B. power of adaptability in diverse habitat. C. nature of self-pollination. And D. domestication of man. So, which one is? Option B, power of adaptability in the diverse habitat, right? We find the angiosperm in a different habitat. So we will save this and move to our next question. What structure in gymnosperms develops into the female gametophyte? Female gametophyte. A. microspore, B. megaspore, C. pollen grain, and D. nucellus. Female gametophyte is developed from the megaspore structure. Microspore, that forms the pollen grain. Okay, not the female gametophyte that develops from the megaspore. So we will opt this, save this, submit the test, and see the result. So all the answers are correct. Okay, so we have finished our this chapter. Now from tomorrow onward, we will have some exercises, NCERT exercise, exemplar exercise, and then we will solve our mock test also. Okay. So be with us tomorrow also. We will meet again same time. Thank you very much for attending today's session.